Hi guys, it's Marie Grillis. I know it's been a long time since I posted a video on YouTube, and I've had a lot of shit going on, but I'm gonna leave that for another video. But what I wanted to discuss today is, people out there that have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, whether it's unofficially or officially. Now when I say that, I mean, if you are having symptoms that mimic or sound or feel like it could be a fibromyalgia diagnosis, or whether you have actually visited a rheumatologist, a specialist, and he has actually given you a formal diagnosis, either way, I don't really care which situation you're in. But I was listening to a video the other day that really kind of stuck out. And I am going to be posting it. I will post a link of that YouTube video in the description box below. But I just wanted, her main take home point was the fact that, she thinks, and I think as well, that fibromyalgia as a diagnosis is a cop-out. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not saying that diagnosis, a fibromyalgia diagnosis, does not exist. I do believe that. But I think that being diagnosed with fibromyalgia is the beginning, what should be the beginning of your search. Now, I am working on a document. It's probably going to be about 60 or 70 pages. And it's going to outline every single step of my journey as far as what I've been through, how I came to feel this way, what things I've dove into, is that a word? Things that I have tried, things that have worked along the way. I'm still kind of managing my symptoms, but I think that this document, if I had it at the beginning of my journey and at the beginning of when I first actually started getting these symptoms, if I had this manual and if I had this sort of go-to guide as far as what things to try, whether that's traditional medical routes with medication, whether that's who to see, what other alternative modalities or remedies to try, alternative health professionals, that sort of thing. And there are many sort of reasons why you could end up with a fibromyalgia diagnosis or be in a position where you are feeling like that's what you have, considering you've done your research and you've pretty much listed all your symptoms, and you most people that have chronic pain and that sort of thing have done so much of their own personal research that it kind of leads them to the fibromyalgia, down the fibromyalgia kind of route. So if you're feeling like you are still not finding a solution to why you are feeling this way and why you are experiencing so many symptoms, and I think this document that I am still working on, I think I'm about 50 or so pages in, but I just need to bring it all together. I need to make it look pretty, and I need to make sure that it's succinct and it's easily readable and understandable. And I think it's going to end up being like there is a beginning and a destination, and there are different train stops along the way, if you want to sort of use that analogy. And you might find that if you are experiencing these kind of symptoms and you have come to the conclusion that it's either a formal diagnosis of fibromyalgia, or you settled on that sort of if you've just settled on that diagnosis, whether you've actually gone through the rigmarole of visiting health professionals or not, it'll be like the kind of document where someone might have, mixing my words. I'm feeling, I have a lot of brain fog today. I was really naughty last night and had quite a lot of chocolate. And usually when I do a healing session, so I'm going to be talking about access consciousness as well in other videos, but I just want to introduce the fact that I am also an energetic healer. And when I do sessions on a client, which I usually sort of, engage with probably every fortnight, because she's in the medical industry and she needs kind of clearing very, very often. So I see her about every fortnight. But where was I going with that? Yeah, brain fog. I get a lot of brain fog when I have a lot of sugar. So that's where I'm at the moment. So I might not sound as succinct as other videos. nevertheless, so what this document will be is you might end up having fibromyalgia or symptoms that are like fibromyalgia, well, fibromyalgia-like symptoms. And you might get to the first chapter or the first section of this document and actually find a really sort of good golden nugget within that document in the first chapter and go, oh my God, wow, I've recognized what I need to look into. For example, early on in the document, I talk about how mold could be a significant factor in whether you have these kind of symptoms and whether you end up with a fibromyalgia diagnosis. So I think that there's a big chunk of people out there that are dealing with mold infections and possibly, you know, and not the mainstream medical profession don't really talk about, you know, mold infections. I had to go through about 10 or 12 different specialists, and I had to get to a point where I ended up seeing a functional medical practitioner that actually said, you know what, I've got this special test, I think that you should do it. And what is it? Was it a blood test? I can't even recall, it was so long ago. But I think that you pay, it is quite hefty in price. There is a company that tests your home for mold infestation. That's not really, infestation is not the right word. But if you have mold in your home, this company will send out a small rag, and you leave a section of your, you know, a piece of furniture sort of, don't sort of clean or dust for about, I think it's 1 or 2 weeks, and that means that dust will accumulate and there will be you know, enough dirt on that particular surface to wipe off with that rag that they actually send you. You send in this rag and they actually do quite a detailed analysis of what that rag has actually picked up. And there is mold in every home, you know, but there are different levels. There are levels that are safe and acceptable, and there are, you know, other homes that have a really sort of urgent mold problem that needs to be addressed. And this test will let you know whether your home, and specifically, for example, your bedroom, you spend 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours, well, 6 to 8 hours, depending on how long you sleep for every night. And a lot of people spend a lot more time during the day in their bedroom. So if your bedroom is one that has mold, whether it's visible or not, you need to test for this stuff. And you will be surprised how many fibromyalgia-like symptoms are attached to a mold infection. And that's just one thing that I discuss in detail in my document. And there are so many other things that, you know, the standard medical professionals don't really discuss with you. When you go to your GP, they don't sort of run through all this kind of non-standard stuff, you know, non-standard kind of physical ailments. Sorry, I'm experiencing a lot of brain fog today, so I will lose track of what I'm talking about and just go off the rails. But just bear with me. So what I'm doing in this document, which, you know, I want to get it, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I just want to get it to a point where it's looking right. I've got as much information as possible. I will charge for it. I'm not going to give out that kind of information for free. I have worked on it for a very, very long time, and I've also experienced everything that I've written in that document for the last sort of 12 to 13 years. So I think that it's very valuable information, and for anyone that is experiencing fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, aches and pains in the joints, consistent migraines and headaches, swollen lymph nodes, a high level of inflammation. There are things that your GP will not discuss with you that you need to look into and cross off your list. And what this document will do is actually take you through junctions of what you need to look into first. You know, obviously there are very serious conditions and illnesses and diseases that you need to cross off your list first, number one. And then I will just go down the list as far as what else you can look into to make sure that you understand holistically where you're at, physically and medically as well, so you can actually devise a plan that works for you and that works for your specific condition. I personally started off feeling this way, and the ignition point for me was a glandular fever diagnosis. Now, I don't think I've ever mentioned in other videos. So I went to the UK. I was holidaying in the UK. Wasn't used to very cold climates. It was a sort of very active tour, so there was a lot of walking, a lot of hiking, a lot of going up mountains. And anyone that's been to the UK knows that whether it's summer or winter, I feel the cold very, very easily. And in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have chosen such an active tour, because number one, I hate the cold. Number two, I'm quite susceptible to the cold, and I do tend to feel it, you know, more than other people. And I probably would have had a better holiday, seriously, going to Hawaii or going to Greece or going to the Mediterranean. So as beautiful as the UK was, and as much as I love it, I probably should have chosen a different destination for myself. So I'll stop it here for now, and sorry guys, I just had a swarm of greyhounds run at me. One of them stole my sock and dropped it off halfway down the hill. This is quite a renowned sort of dog park around the area close to where I live. So there's always dogs here, especially on a Saturday morning. It's full of beautiful dogs. It's nice to watch them running around and having fun. But yeah, didn't expect one to steal my sock. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, I was talking about mold infections. So yeah, initially I did get glandular fever while I was overseas holidaying in the UK. Now, when I actually got back, I had no idea about glandular fever. I didn't know many people, you know, back in primary school and high school that got it. It wasn't a thing back then. I think one person in high school had it, and she suffered quite a lot, and she was off school quite a bit that year. But they call it the kissing disease. Trust me, I didn't kiss anyone. You know, it was literally a week into my holiday, and the tour was very active. It was very cold. And I seriously, I thought that I just got a really, really bad flu, because I was up and down mountains and very active throughout that tour. But looking back to the places that we stayed, some of them were kind of scummy hostels with, you know, their cleanliness levels weren't great. And I think I actually got glandular fever from either using a utensil or, you know, something that wasn't washed properly. So, you know, you don't get glandular fever just by kissing people. You can get glandular fever by using a cup or a spoon or something that somebody else has used. They have glandular fever, or they have that viral infection within them, whether it's active or not within their system. Yeah, and that's another thing, you know, a lot of people have actually had Epstein-Barr virus / glandular fever, but the problem is that depending on your immune system and how strong it is, you will express it in different ways. So I don't know whether my immune system was actually quite shot within that phase in my life, and whether I just kind of you know, the way I expressed it was very aggressive, or whether I just I couldn't fight it off for some reason. But that's where I was, and that's how I reacted to it. So initially got glandular fever. I got back to Sydney. I visited my GP, and he basically prescribed 2 or 3 rounds of antibiotics, which, if you can imagine, you know, looking at it after so many years, after doing a lot of my own research, and after looking back and reflecting on how my GP actually approached the situation, made things a lot worse. So instead of me just acknowledging the fact, if someone said, look, you've got glandular fever, you just need rest. You need to fight, you know, allow your body to fight this off. You need to strengthen your immune system. You need to change your diet. You need to not go back to work for 3-6 months, however long it takes, just till you kind of get your rhythm back. But no, what I was kind of, I was, you know, my GP threw 2 to 3 rounds of antibiotics at me, which weakened my immune system even more. I ended up being gaslit by my GP and other health professionals, making me feel like I was lying or that I was fabricating my symptoms. I will go into this in more detail in another video, but my journey has been horrendous. And I think that if someone had just, you know, ran a test or two back when I first got ill, when I first got back from the UK, you know, I would have been sorted within 3 to 4 months. But the way they approached my situation was so detrimental that 13 to 14 years later, I am still managing my symptoms, and I'm still suffering from, no, I shouldn't say suffering. You know, I listened to a video yesterday, and they said that, you know, you shouldn't say that you know, don't say you've got chronic pain, just instead say you're healing. And I think that mindset is, you know, one thing that I will talk about in another video, and the way you approach your chronic symptoms, and the way you show up every morning, and how you address your situation is just as important as the supplements and all the other things that you do to manage your symptoms. So I was actually diagnosed formally with having had glandular fever 7 years later. So you can just imagine what kind of all the hoops that I jumped through to get myself better, and what things that I was doing to my body that wasn't actually helping. So I got to the point where I was still working full time. I was still pushing through. Nobody had told me that I had glandular fever, and all I needed to do was rest. So this can kind of, you know, manage itself away, and, you know, reverse or what do they say? Reverse or destabilize your immune system. Nobody told me that initially. So I went through I went through 7 years of hell, pretty much, to the point where I had to quit my job. I couldn't actually function. And my job back then was, you know, on-road account management, sales, and it was, you know, very sort of strict, what's the word? KPIs were quite extensive within that role, and I just couldn't manage. I got to the point where I was getting sicker and sicker. I didn't know what I was going through and why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I wasn't equipped with the right tools to actually attack this and address my symptoms. So I didn't know what kind of diet I should be on. I didn't know what other alternative health modalities and remedies were out there. I was very early on in my research, and I went through hell basically. And I think that if I had had a glandular fever diagnosis very early on, I wouldn't be speaking to you right now, and I wouldn't still be managing such chronic symptoms. But nevertheless, you need to always concentrate on the silver lining, and you need to focus on the lessons that you've learned when you have gone through such a difficult journey. So I just wanted to, you know, just highlight the fact that, you know, a diagnosis of fibromyalgia shouldn't be the final step. You shouldn't be satisfied with that, because to me, I think fibromyalgia is a sort of a bucket diagnosis. So if you go to the GP and you list, you know, 10 or 15 symptoms that are similar to a fibromyalgia diagnosis, pretty much fibromyalgia is what a GP will tell you have when they don't know what you have. And they have run all the tests and they have found absolutely nothing. So that's why I feel that fibromyalgia should be the first thing that really urges you to research further and to dig deeper and to get out there and find out, you know, how else you can manage your symptoms, and possibly, you know, what other things could be affecting your health. So once again, this document is going to be lengthy. It's going to be detailed. I would love eventually to do like an audio version of it, and to possibly even like record a course, so I actually go through this in more detail, so page by page, where I talk about my real life experiences attached to, you know, each chapter and so forth. It's something that I'm really excited about. I've been working on it for a while, and I started it I did a huge chunk of it initially, and then I stepped away and got busy with other stuff. But I'm just getting the feeling like I think people out there need to have access to it. And I think it's time for me to, you know, maybe start posting a series of fibromyalgia videos, and also speaking to other professionals and other people in the alternative health space that, you know, talk about fibromyalgia, have experience with fibromyalgia, and often and also have some unusual or non-standard feedback and insight into, you know, what else your symptoms could be attached to, what other sort of things you need to address or maybe look into if you are experiencing symptoms like this. So I feel like I'm babbling on, and I feel like I may be starting to repeat myself. So I hope that I haven't confused you. Basically, just look out for a series of fibromyalgia videos. People that have followed me from the beginning know that I have been on a carnivore journey as well. I'm in a sort of situation where I'm still not 100% settled, which means that I can't be consistent with my diet and so forth. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm just waiting for a few things to fall into place so I can get into a routine and actually implement some of the alternative modalities that I got into a while ago that I've kind of pushed away for now. But I will get back into a lot of other sort of aspects of having symptoms like this, and what I do and what I try to implement to help myself manage these symptoms. But there's hyperbaric oxygen chambers, there's energetic healing, there's what else do I want to talk about? There's psychological aspects and spiritual aspects to why people have fibromyalgia like symptoms. There's a whole lot of information that I'm really excited to introduce to you. But for now, I will leave it here, and just watch out for further videos. I know I have gone MIA. My life is on hiatus for a while. It has been for a few months, and I just feel like I haven't got much content and much. I haven't been motivated for a while to upload videos, but I'm starting to get, you know, a little bit of movement and a little bit of ambition to kind of get back on board and start posting videos, because I know people out there will find them valuable, and they, you know, will get something out of them. So thank you for following, and thank you for listening to this video. Please subscribe. I'm trying to grow my audience. It's very slow at the moment, but it doesn't bother me. You know, you don't know who out there is listening and who gets value out of your content. So anybody else that's creating content for YouTube, just stick to it and be genuine and authentic. That's all you can be. And there's always going to be someone out there that values your content and sort of I'm gonna just leave it. My brain's screwed at the moment. I just went for a walk this morning, and I thought, you know what, I haven't sort of just taken off my shoes and grounded myself. So I'm just sitting on this beautiful hill in the park, and I'm just watching all the dogs run past. So sometimes you just got to concentrate on the simple things when you are going through symptoms like I am. So anyway, I'm going to leave it for now. But please follow my channel, please subscribe, and just watch out for my future content. Okay, have a good weekend. Bye.